Okay, in this video, we're going to put together the chilling chandelier. And we're going to begin by putting together our support piece for the top. Okay, and it's a pretty simple piece. We're going to take and fold this piece up, and these tabs are going to go down like so. Okay, and what we're going to do is simply take and glue these little triangular tabs to their neighboring tabs, and just make sure that you've got it at the correct angle here when you press it and hold it together. Okay, and you're not really going to see this piece too much, you're just going to see the top of it. So if you get a little messy, it's okay, just do your best. Just make sure you get plenty of glue on there so that it holds. And you're going to repeat this process 8 more times. Okay, so I'm not going to do it 8 more times. I'm going to do 1 more, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this. So again, this piece goes up like so. These pieces fold the opposite way. And we're going to take and glue the triangular tabs to their neighboring tabs. Okay, just like that. Make sure that it gets a good hold before you move on to the next tab. Just like that. Okay, and again, just make sure you got the angle right there, as you can see. And again, so you're going to do this, I've done this twice now, you're going to do it 7 more times. And what we're going to do then is we're going to take and join these pieces. Okay, so what I would do is use this segment here as a reference. Just make sure that you've got these nice and lined up. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue on this tab here. And again, if this gets a little messy, that's okay. No one's really going to see this when you're done with your final product. I have it flat on my table, and I'm just aligning these 2 tabs so that they're perfectly flush. And just do your best to make sure that it's nice and joined. Okay, so what you're going to do, in essence, is repeat that same process until you have all 9 pieces connected just like this. And that is going to make our little support piece for the top. It's going to keep this thing together. So go ahead and do that, and I will meet you towards the end of this process. Okay, so I've got about half of this thing put together, and I just wanted to come back and show you a little bit more of the process, which again is somewhat redundant. It's just very repetitive, but very meditative. I know when I put the first one together, the actual one that you see in the photo, just kind of took my time and put on some music, and was actually watching this show from, oh geez, I think it was probably from the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, probably when I was a kid. On the Disney Channel, they had this thing called Disney's Monster Hits, and it's just a collection of popular Halloween songs that they did to montages of popular Disney cartoons or films or shorts or whatever you want to call them, and just really enjoyed the process of putting this together because I know it's going to work, and I just was excited to see what it was going to look like when it was done. So again, I'm just going through the same process here. I'm just gluing each piece to its neighbor. Okay, and I have 1 piece left, and as you can see, it fits perfectly. So we're just going to put glue on this tab first, just to close this up. Okay. Okay, and again, I'm kind of just using this edge here as my guide, just making sure that those two edges are perfectly flush. And I'm using my thumb there just to push up against it to ensure that they're properly lined up. And do your best to make sure that everything along that tab is nice and in place and glued together. Again, no one's gonna really see the underside of this. It's gonna be hidden away. So don't worry if it's not perfect, okay? And then we're gonna seal this thing up by putting glue on this tab here and then connecting it to its neighbor. Okay, so just gonna twist this around so you can see it a little bit better. And same process, just make sure that that little edge there is nice and flush and matches up. And this thing's gonna naturally want to kind of bow a little bit, which is exactly what it should do. Okay, so that is roughly what this piece should look like, okay? You're gonna do a lot better of a job. Make sure that everything is nice and glued together, okay? And we're just gonna put this to the side for now. Eventually, we're gonna put this piece inside of the bottom half of our chandelier. So this piece is done. And actually, while we're on this piece real quick, just want to talk about this little piece here. Okay, and what this is just a little cover that we made for the top. And what you're gonna do is just glue these two pieces together. For this, I actually used some general purpose spray adhesive. So it really doesn't matter which one goes on top or which one goes on the bottom. Just glue these two pieces together to kind of sturdy it up a little bit. And then you can do this now or you can do this later. It's up to you. This just gets glued down just at this tab here. And it's kind of like a little lever or hinge, I should say, and that you're going to use to open and close this. And it actually does kind of cast a cool little shadow on the ceiling depending on how far away from the ceiling you have this piece. So it's kind of just a little decorative touch and also has a function. So we weren't really sure if we were going to include it, but we did because it just kind of polishes it off and adds a little bit of interest to it. So you can go ahead and just glue that to any one of these segments. It doesn't matter where it goes, okay? So let's put this off to the side for now. And let's grab the main structure of our chandelier, and it's made up of these 9 pieces here, okay? And what we're gonna do, this one's really simple actually. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take one of these pieces, okay? And we're gonna take one of these pieces, okay? And what we wanna do, all of these pieces, or the tabs here, these tabs, they're gonna be sticking out like you see here, okay? And that is gonna be the face of the actual chandelier. So what we wanna do, because this is the bottom, we are going to want to glue this to this piece here. Okay, so it's gonna go like this. Okay, we wanna do this first, just so that we have everything nice and perfectly lined up. So I'm gonna go ahead and begin gluing this triangle to this piece here, okay? And I kind of found that if I tuck this under, it helps me with the alignment a little bit better, okay? So I can just kind of go like this. Maybe this is actually better. Just make sure that it's nice and butted up against that score line and that you have it perfectly centered there on that little 9-sided shape. I don't even know what you call a 9-sided shape. I'll have to look that up. Okay, so that's what the inside's gonna look like, and that's what the outside's gonna look like. Okay, so we're just gonna continue our way around, and you may have to tuck these in to get them out of the way. Okay, so I have my texture side facing down, and let me get this out of the way. Fold it under itself. Okay. And we're just going to glue the next piece into place. Go ahead and put a little bit of glue on this tab here and just position that into place. Just make sure that you have it perfectly centered. And then just push down, make sure that it's not overlapping that score mark, that it's just butting up against it nicely. Oh, and by the way, there are 3 of these pieces. One has a little L on it, okay? That's the liner, that's gonna go inside. So make sure you grab one that doesn't have an L on it, okay? All right, so that is the second piece. And you were just gonna work your way around, repeating that same process until you have all 9 of these joined. So I'm gonna do a couple more here with you, just to kind of give you the gist of everything. Okay, and again, these tabs are going to come out because they're actually part of the design this time, which is something unique and different, something that we've not really done before. But I think it came out really cool and adds like a really interesting feel to this piece. Okay, so again, just make sure that you've got the score mark butted up to our 9-sided shape here, that you have it centered as best as possible. Now, just keep in mind when you do this stuff that you are not a robot, and you know, you're not going to get this aligned perfectly. You're going to do your best, but there's always going to be a little bit of room for error, and it's just normal to not be able to replicate this perfectly as it was designed. We had a computer, we designed this on a computer, and in the computer everything is mathematically perfect, and when it gets cut out, it's mathematically perfect and geometrically perfect. But when it comes to reassembling this in the real world, you can't feel bad if you don't get it perfect, because, well, it's just how it is. We don't have laser vision, and you don't want to sit there spending time making sure that everything is aligned to the micro-inch, I just made that up, to the nanometer, I guess. But as long as you're in the ballpark, this thing's gonna look great. And that goes for any paper project. Being on all sides of this business, I realize that, paper crafting is a science. It's an art and a science, especially with the engineering and the way we produce these products. But there's no way that anybody can reassemble these things as well as the computer constructed them, if that makes any sense. But you guys seem to do a really good job doing it. I mean, it still, to me, looks perfect. But just bear in mind that there's always going to be that little nanometer where the paper's off just a tiny bit. Still looks great though. No one really notices. So anyway, I'm just kind of going around in a circle here. Okay. And this would probably be a great piece to do with your friends, like during a crop or something. Probably, as far as assembly goes, you're looking at probably an hour or 2 once everything's cut out. Only because of the amount of embellishments that we have for this piece, as far as the bats and all that stuff. And you can really take this to whatever level you want to, as far as jazzing it up and adding things. Now, you don't even have to hang bats from it. We included bats and a spider, but you're welcome to add whatever you want. Okay. So again, I'm just doing my best to get that aligned. One thing you can do while you're doing this process is, if you want to bend this piece just to make sure that you've got that nice seam, a nice even seam, you can do that. But I don't think it's necessary. So far, everything's looking really good. Okay, so again, just a very monotonous, repetitive, redundant process, but it's kind of therapeutic, I think. And I don't know why, but this shape excites me. Okay, so again, just kind of doing our best to get that perfectly lined up. You don't want to tuck that score line on this piece underneath this piece. You want to kind of just butting up against it. Okay, and you know what, here, even if you get a little bit of glue that pops out, that's okay because we do have panels that are going to go over this. So we can clean that up later on. It's not the end of the world. Okay, so you can see this thing starting to come together. And again, just taking and folding the tabs outward. They are actually going to be showing their faces when we're all done with this. Okay, there we go. And we just tuck that under again. Make sure that you've got it nice and aligned. There we go. Just push down and hold that down while it dries. Okay. And the last piece here. Just gotta get that right in there. Get it glued down. And voila. Okay, so the next step, I think it's probably a good idea to do this while this piece is flat, okay? And that is to put our vellum on, okay? I only cut one out. You're gonna have 9, okay? And this thing overlaps nicely, gives you plenty of room up here along the sides, at the bottom. So you can just take your glue and just get it in there. Okay, and glue your vellum down. Just make sure you have it centered and it's not getting too close to that edge there where the little tabs bend, these little decorative tabs. You just want them to be free of any obstruction from the vellum. Okay, so you're going to repeat that process on all of these to get your vellum on there. And we do have these panels, okay, these panel pieces. I don't actually recommend putting them on right now. I want to put this piece together before we do anything with the panel pieces. But these here, we did these on the original in a black glitter. These pieces here are going to go here. Okay, these are the little decorative pieces for the chandelier. So you're more than welcome to get these glued on now. You can do them later when this thing's assembled. I don't really think it matters. Just make sure that when you put this piece down, that you keep it where it needs to be and it doesn't encroach below the little score mark here, because we don't want to obstruct the panel at all. Okay, if you get this thing aligned perfectly, it should not obstruct below that score mark. So you're going to repeat that process 8 more times to get your little decorative bat on there. So let's go ahead and begin putting this thing together. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and flip this over. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, I have this thing flipped over now. And again, this process is also a bit redundant. But what we're going to do is we're going to take and put glue on these tabs here, and we're just going to connect them to the neighboring piece. Okay, so do your best to get ample glue on there, and then just make sure that these align perfectly as you're getting them glued into place. Now I'm just going to flip this over so you can see what I'm doing here. just run your finger along the edge of this just to make sure that you've got everything aligned. You know you have it aligned properly if you can see through the holes, okay? So there's 2 of them connected, okay? These 2 are now connected. Okay, so since we're kind of working with a large piece here, I am gonna zoom out more. And now we're just gonna continue around, okay? I'm gonna put glue on the inside of this tab, okay? Just make sure that you get plenty of coverage on that. And I'm just gonna grab the neighbor and squeeze these 2 pieces together. Okay, and then you can kind of lift it up and just work your way down, making sure that everything is nice and aligned. You want it to be nice and flush and aligned. Okay, so that is done. And I'm just gonna work my way down to the next one. Putting glue on the inside. Now this is the inside of the piece. Remember, we flipped it. Okay. We had it the other way when we were putting the vellum down. Okay, so again, just match up the holes. That's what I would do first. Match up the little holes here. There, that one there. And then run your finger along the top edge of it just to make sure that everything else is flush. And just kind of push down. Make sure that it's got a hold from top to bottom. Yeah, and even this piece, if you do get a little bit of glue that seeps out, it's okay because this is all going to be covered up with tabs as well. Or I'm sorry, with panels, I should say. Okay, so you're just going to repeat this process until you have the whole base of this thing put together. Now remember, you are going to have your vellum already in place. Okay, so go ahead and, again, hopefully you can see that. All I'm doing is just joining these 2 pieces together and just making sure that the holes align, and then just running my finger along the edge to ensure that I've got it nice and aligned. Perfect. All right, so go ahead and do that until we get to the last piece, and then I will join you once we get there. Okay, so here we are. We've got 1 piece left to glue. Okay, just remember, this is the face of it, okay? We already put the vellum on one of them. You're gonna have vellum on all of yours. And I'm gonna go ahead and put glue on this tab here. I'm not doing anything different. I'm just showing you this process so that you can actually see it once it's complete. Okay, so there we are again. And again, your focus up here is just making sure that you kind of move things around to ensure that these holes line up perfectly. That way you know that you've got it where it needs to be. And then again, you can run your finger along the edge of this to make sure that you have it correctly placed as far as that, or not dimension, but yeah, that dimension goes. The you know, how these 2 tabs should be completely flush is what I was trying to get across. Okay, so I'm just closing this last piece up, starting at the top, scooching things around until those 2 holes match up, kind of working my way down, making sure that these holes match up, and then finally just kind of closing it off. Okay, so there you go. That's how that works. Okay, and what we're going to do at this point is we're going to take and, well, first off, let's go ahead and get our little liner piece. Okay, this is the one with the little L on it, and we can go ahead and put glue, inside here. And this only matches up one way, so make sure that you get it right so that you can see the holes through there. Okay, so that's perfect. Okay, Get my hand in there again. And we do have one more piece. We're going to put that on after we get the panels on. Okay. So at this point, what you can do is get this piece and just kind of drop it in there. Okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of drop it in there. Okay. And this is in essence how this piece is going to work. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to go around in a circle. We're going to put glue on this section here, not on the little tab here, just on that section below there. And you're going to get that lined up perfectly with this section here, just below the bat. Okay, these two pieces should be completely flush and perfect once you get them glued. So you can just peel this back. Okay, that little tab there, and put glue on it. Okay, and let me move this back. Hold on a second. Okay, and all we're doing is we're taking and gluing this piece to the piece just below the bat. And just make sure that you don't encroach over that line there where the bat begins. Okay, just hold that down. Make sure it gets a good grip. Make sure it's nice and aligned. And there you go. Now this little tab that we have there, that actually will help. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna glue your bat to this little tab. Kind of helps keep him upright. Okay, so you don't have to do that now. I'd probably put the rest of these in place and then worry about the bats later. But I just wanted to show you how that works, and that kind of keeps him more standing up. Okay, so we've got this one glued down. Now let's go to the opposite side. Okay, going to the opposite side here, and I'm just going to glue down one on the opposite side, and that's going to help us make sure that we get everything nice and centered and perfect. Okay, so again, just do your best to make sure that when you're gluing this, you're not encroaching over that line where the bat begins. Okay, and just press and hold that in place until it's dry. And all you're going to do is just go around and get all those glued into place, just like I did with those first two. And your basic structure is going to be done. Okay, so I'll meet you when we get that done. Well guys, I gotta say, this is probably one of the most fun projects to put together because it's just very rewarding to put together a piece like this. Ron did a really amazing job of conceptualizing this project and drawing it out, and then Diana did an amazing job engineering this thing to make it so that it just fits perfectly and beautifully and precisely, and I'm just so happy with the stuff that we're making here. So as you can see, I'm just kind of going around and gluing this tab to the inside, just behind under the bat. Okay, and pretty much done here. Okay, so, and this piece that we're gluing is a structural piece so that this thing doesn't just collapse on itself. It needed some sort of reinforcement. Okay, so that's it. I've got the whole thing glued, and as you can see, this is what the piece looks like right now. Okay, now again, you have your vellum on already. Okay, I only did one piece of vellum. Okay, and then at this point, to finish it off, what you're going to do is take your panels. We're going to take our panels and fold them in just like we did the original piece here, and we're just going to get that glued into place. Okay, and again, this should match up perfectly with this piece here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, and it doesn't matter where you put the glue, I'm just going to put the glue here. Okay, so just putting glue on this tab here. Just make sure you don't cover up the hole. Okay, get it out to the edge as well to get a nice seam there, so it's nice and clean. And just kind of drop that in there. Make sure it's flush at the bottom here. Make sure it's flush at the top. It's not encroaching on our bat. And again, use the holes as your guide. Make sure that the holes align nicely, and just put that in place. Very simple, actually. Okay, there we go. And then you can lift this up. And I did put glue on this whole thing. Okay, so you don't have to, I don't think, but I think it just kind of sturdies it up even more. So I'm going to put glue on my designer paper here. Okay, all the way down, all the way up, and then just a little bit on the actual spider web portion as well. Okay, just to kind of hold that down. You don't want to put too much because then it globs up and it can kind of wrinkle your vellum. You don't want that. And just start the edge here and just kind of push it down a little bit and get it in place. Okay, and then you can go ahead and peel this back a little bit and put glue on this tab. Kind of rest your glue nozzle up against that other tab as you guide it up and down. And again, start at the top, making sure that that hole matches up, making sure that the second hole matches up, and just finish it off like so. Okay, so that's what it should look like. And you're going to repeat that process 8 more times until you have all of your decorative panels on. Okay, so at that point, you can go ahead and take this piece and just glue it on the bottom there, just to close it up. Okay, and it's going to clean it up and reinforce it a little bit more. Okay, so you want to get that piece glued on. And at this point, before we talk about mounting it, I do want to just talk about the little embellishment pieces that we have. Okay, and the spider, okay, it's made up of these 2 pieces. You're just going to glue them back to back. And I think one of my legs ripped when I was peeling it off of my mat. So glue that back to back like so, just to kind of thicken them up. So he's 2 pieces thick. And then we cut these out of a black glitter. I didn't want to waste any more glitter, so I just cut them out of black cardstock. And that just gets glued on like that, okay? And I actually took some liquid pearls and just put little drops of pearls all over my spider to make them look a little freaky. That is your spider, okay? And then we have a series of bats, okay? I don't remember off the top of my head how many we have. These smaller ones, you just take and glue these back to back. Okay, they're 2 layers thick, and there's nothing in the center. Okay, so you're gonna do that for those bats. Okay, and then I have, let me see, where did it go? I don't think I cut out enough of these. Actually, I cut the wrong one out. And then you're gonna have a series of bats that have this design and then this shadowed or filled in design. And what you're going to do is you're going to glue this one to the top of this one, okay, and then another one on the back, just like this. Okay, so you're sandwiching this piece between 2 of these to create your little bats, and we did them out of various colors of glitter. So there's basically 3 pieces to this bat. I'm only showing you 2. There's 2 of these and 1 of these. You just sandwich this piece between 2 of these to create that bat. And then these are only 2 pieces. You just sandwich them, the 2 pieces together. And these are the little bats that are going to be hanging off of the chandelier. Okay, so that is the bats and the spider. Okay, so we've got everything put together. Now, also what we want to do is we've got a little contraption that we came up with that you actually use to hang, that you can actually run the string through to support this thing. Okay, so we're going to take this piece here, and it's very simple. You just want to fold it at the score marks, and then there's little triangular tabs that we're going to use to join the pieces together. Okay, so get those all folded and ready. There we go. And we're just going to simply take and put a little bit of glue on this little triangular piece here and glue it to its neighbor like so. So let me get my finger out of there so I can show you what that looks like, and make sure that this gets a really good hold. Now, you really don't need this. You can just hang it from string, but we thought we'd add it because it's nice. You can just take the 3 strings that you use to hold this thing up and just use that. You can tie those all together to hang it if you want to do that, or you can use this piece. This piece is definitely functional and it works, and I've had mine hanging for like 4 days now, and it's withstood the test. Okay, so I'm just going around here and just gluing this together. Okay, just like so. And there's just a couple more here. There we go. Getting a little sloppy with the glue. Okay, and the last one here. Well, there's 2 more actually. Get that in place. There we go. And the last one. There we go. Awesome. All right. So there's that piece. Okay. And we also have, we've got some, these little panel pieces here. These are just reinforcement pieces that you're going to glue inside to make this basically double thick. Double thick. I don't even know if that's proper grammar, but I'm going to put some glue on this piece and just pop it inside. So there's 3 of them with holes, 3 without. Okay, you're going to get those all glued inside just to kind of reinforce that, make it 2 layers thick. Okay, hopefully you can see that. So I'm not going to show you all of those because the process is redundant. Okay, and then finally we have this piece here. Okay, so we want to take this and bend it and fold it like so. Okay, and what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put glue on this piece here, and I'm going to put that in the middle. So I'm gluing that loose piece to one of these pieces because this is what it's going to hang off of, and we wanted to reinforce that and kind of make it 3 layers thick. And I don't know why, but when I do this in the studio to make the final product, I always do such a neater job, and then when I get on camera, all of a sudden I'm just super happy with the glue and it gets everywhere. So just take your time. Don't make a mess like I am. Okay, and we're going to glue the other piece to this piece. You can kind of put it flat on your table to get that alignment precise. Okay, so that's how that works, just like that. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to take and put glue on this piece here. Okay, and we're going to slide this over this piece, and we're just reinforcing it, making it 3 layers thick. Okay, just to really reinforce this and make this piece nice and solid. Oops, just had a ton of glue come out there for no reason. Okay, so just sliding that over, making it 3 layers thick. Okay, and then we're going to put glue inside of here, all the way around, and we're going to feed this whole thing through like so to get that to stick. And this is what that piece should look like, okay? Just like that. And this thing should be nice and sturdy and hold our chandelier up, okay? So that's that. And at this point, I'm just going to go over the stringing process and your chandelier will be done. Okay, so the stringing process is pretty straightforward. As you can see here, what you're going to do is you're going to take string and connect it, or just tie it to 3 sides, okay? And whichever one you start on, so let's say this is number 1, you're going to skip 2, and then you're going to tie the next one to this piece, and then you're going to skip 2 more, and you're going to tie one to this piece, okay? Now these strings here, we have them at roughly 8 inches, okay? So each of these, from this point here to this point here, is about 8 inches. You want to leave a little bit of slack, so maybe you cut 10 inches so that you can have enough room to tie, to tie it and then snip it, okay? But the length of that is about 8 inches, okay? And as you can see, we've got it connected to one of the holes on this piece that we just created, okay? So you just tie it like that, okay? And then I actually have it hanging, tied string to the top of this, okay? So again, just 3 strings. You're going to tie it to the top hole. You're going to do the first one. You're going to skip 2, and then go to the third one back here, skip 2 more, and tie 1 there, okay? So that's how that works. And then as far as the bats go, as you can see, so the little ones here that have the strings that actually, help you dangle this from your ceiling, you're not going to tie bats to those. You're going to tie bats to every other one. So as you can see, I've got a bat tied to that one. I've got a bat tied to this one, and then of course we've got the one that has the string that anchors it. And the next one has a bat. Okay, and these bats, the big ones that hang from the topmost holes, I have those at roughly, 6.5 inches. I have one at about 9 inches. So they don't all have to be perfect. You want to kind of vary them a little bit just to kind of make it interesting. Okay, and then the smaller bats, the ones that just have the 2 sides, those are going to hang from the inner holes, and there's 9 of those, so you have 9 of the smaller bats, and I have those at varying lengths as well. Like this one here, I have at about 9 inches. I have one this one here is only at about 3 inches. This one here is at about 9 inches. So, just vary it as much as you want. And then the spider is going to hang from the center, okay? So you want to tie a string through the center, and I'll give you that measurement here in just a second. That spider is roughly, let's see, he's dangling at about 11 inches or so, okay? So that's pretty much it. And when I was doing this, I hung up the lantern first. I put him on a little boom pole that I have in my studio, whatever you can find to dangle this thing from, and then add your bats so that you can actually get a visual of what this looks like, so that you can decide how low or how high you want your bats to dangle. So that's it. I cannot wait to see your final result.
Stay on top of all things Dreaming Tree and engage with us today. Get the latest news and enter in our giveaways on Facebook. Get inspired by following us on Pinterest. Be the first to see our new product launches on Instagram. Do you prefer Twitter? Yep, we're there too. Watch our beautiful product trailers and assembly tutorials on YouTube. For more information, visit www.3dsvg.com. Live, craft, love, and dream.